Okay guys, we are going to be solving equations using a flow map. All right, so we'll start off with this equation, x plus 9 equals 17. Now I know that's easy enough to figure out that it's 8, but since it's one of those easy ones that you can just look at and go, that's 8, I figured it would be a good one to start with so that you can see that the flow map is a plausible way to solve equations. So a flow map, if you remember from your language arts classes, is a chart where one box flows to the other. And we're going to take it and tweak it. So when we build a flow map, we always start, and what we want to do is we want to build the side of the equation that has the variable. So we're going to start with the variable, and we're going to place it in a box. And we're going to flow into the next box. So in order to flow to the next box, we have to decide, okay, what's happening to the variable? Well, nothing's being multiplied here. So we're going to move on to the next operation, which would be addition or subtraction. So nothing's being multiplied or divided. So we'll move on to addition or subtraction, and it's being added to 9. So we go x, and it's being added to 9. And our result from that, when we take x plus 9, is this side of the equation. We get x plus 9. Okay? And since we have in this box the left side of the equation, we're done building. So we're going to bring down this equals 17. And so what you'll see here is right here we have the equation. We finished building it. We're going to go backwards now and take it apart. We're going to undo it. We're going to figure out, okay, well, x plus 9 equals 17. Let's figure out what x equals. So we go backwards. We're going to take it apart, just like Legos. And to take apart or undo or do the opposite of adding 9, we're going to subtract 9 since we're moving backwards. And we have 17 minus 9, which is 8. And we know from our previous looking at this equation that 8 plus 9 equals 17, so x equals 8. And so what we want to do whenever we solve equations is always check that. So we're going to take this, x equals 8, and we're going to put it back. We're going to substitute it into the equation to make sure it works. Okay, so instead of x, which we have right here, I'm substituting in an 8. And if I solve it, I know that x, or 8 plus 9, equals 17. And does 17 equal 17? Yes, it does. So x equals 8 must be a solution to this equation. So let's do another one. Let's try this equation here. 2x, or negative 2 times x equals 42. Okay? So just like the previous equation, we're going to go through and we're going to build this side of the equation with the variable. We start with our variable in the first box of our flow map, and we're going to flow into the next box. In this equation, we need to look at, okay, is there any multiplication or division happening in the equation? Well, in this case, there's multiplication. The variable's being multiplied by negative 2. So we're being multiplied by negative 2. And our result is, when we have x times negative 2, is to get negative 2x. So we put that in our next box. Okay. Now we have finished building this left side of the equation, so we can say that negative 2x equals 42. So negative 2x equals 42. Whole equation is represented right here. So now we can work backwards and take it apart and find the solution. You can probably eyeball this and go, all right, -2 times a number is going to equal positive 42. So we know right here, we're going to have a negative number because -2 times a negative, two negatives make a positive. And you might be able to in your head go, okay, that's going to be a -21. So let's just see. So we're going to take this apart. We're going to go backwards. We're going to undo this multiplying by -2. And to undo or do the inverse or the opposite of multiplication is to divide by -2. So 42 divided by -2, you could plug it into your calculator if you want, equals -21. So x equals -21. And we should always check it. So we're going to take this original equation and we're going to substitute. Instead of the x, I'm going to use -21. And we're going to see if it equals positive 42. So at this point, I would whip out my calculator, or I could come do a side problem, which is what I'm going to do right now. So I know a negative times a negative is a positive. So I'm just going to take 21 times 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So a -21 times -2 times -21 is 42. And is 42 equal to 42? Yes, it is. So our solution to this equation is x equals -21. Okay. This time we're going to have x divided by 6 equals 12. X divided by 6 equals 12. Just like the other two examples, we're going to build this left side of the equation. So we start off with our variable in our first box of the flow map, and we're going to flow. We need to figure out, is there any multiplication or division happening to the variable? In this case, we're being divided by 6. So to flow from this box to the next, we divide by 6. And x divided by 6 gets us x divided by 6. Okay. Now there's nothing else happening here, no addition or subtraction, so we're done building this side of the equation, and we can bring in our equals 12. So now we have our complete equation. This complete equation appears right here. Now we're going to work backwards. And we're going to undo this. We're going to take apart. We're going to do the opposite of divide by 6, which is multiply by 6. So 12 times 6, if you remember your multiplication facts, is 72. So x equals 72, x equals 72. So I need to bring it over here and check it. I need to say substitute this variable. Oops, wrong number. Instead of x, it'll be 72 divided by 6. And let's see if that equals 12. Well, 72 divided by 6, multiplication fact, is 12. And does 12 equal 12? Yes, it does. So our solution to this equation is x equals 72. Let's make it a little harder.